Welcome back to the channel, guys, and today we are going to look at the new agent cards from the upcoming structure deck in the OCG. I know a few of these cards were actually leaked a couple weeks back, but I figured there was going to be a few more, which is why I waited. I wanted to just sort of see everything come out together and do a reaction video to it all at the same time, and I do not think these cards disappoint. I thought these were pretty solid, the first couple, but the two new ones that they just announced look like they may really kind of push it over the top. And I know I have the tendency to be a little hyperbolic at times, but looking at this objectively and remembering how good agents were back in the day, plus the amount of fairy support that's just either coming out or has come out recently, makes me think this does have a real chance of doing something. So let's go ahead and jump into it, take a look at the new cards. There's 5 in total. If you guys enjoy this type of content, please like the video and subscribe to stay up to date with all of the latest happenings. And let's take a look, starting with Guard of the Agent's Moon. So obviously this kind of has the like Earth vibes to it. It sort of looks like, I don't know if it's supposed to be like a more upgraded version or what, but some cool artwork on that. It's a light fairy, 2 fairy monsters, a link 2. If this card is link summoned, you can send one Sanctuary in the Sky or one card that specifically lists that card in its text from your deck to the graveyard. Or, if Sanctuary in the Sky is on the field or in the graveyard, you can add one Agent of Mystery Earth from your deck or graveyard to your hand instead. You contribute one fairy monster, then target one card your opponent controls, destroy it. You can only use each effective Guard of the Agent's Moon once per turn. So, a couple things stand out. First of all, the fact that the new cards only require Sanctuary to be in the grave and it doesn't have to be on the field is a massive boost for the deck, because obviously Sanctuary in the Sky is kind of a bricky card that doesn't do much for you. It nullifies battle damage, but that's not really game-breaking in 2021's metagame. However, getting it in grave is not hard, especially when there's cards that can do that, and so it's much easier to play around. While it is susceptible to things like DD Crow, if you're playing a couple copies, you should be able to make that work. In addition to that, this card gives you search power while also being an enabler, so it dunks a card, and then it also gives you the option, depending on what's in your grave, to get a copy of Earth to the hand, which is good. It's a normal summonable tuner that you can bring out and search other stuff. And the secondary effect, tributing a fairy monster to pop an opponent's card, it can tribute itself, so if you want to do that, you can, but the first thing that comes to mind is Mystical Shine Ball. A lot of times with Venus, you can drop extra Shine Balls out to the field, and you can tribute one to pop something, so it's a little additional utility that definitely does not hurt on a card that already gets your combos started. So it's really solid overall. This is one of the new ones that was announced today. Chorus in the Sky. Pay 1,000 life points, then target one fairy monster in your graveyard, add it to your hand. Then, if the Sanctuary in the Sky is on the field or in the graveyard, you can add one of your banished, the Sanctuary in the Sky, or card that lists that card in its text to your hand. You can only activate one Chorus of the Sky per turn. So, this gets you any fairy back from grave, meaning it's huge in decks like Dark Lords. You could literally just use this to get, graveyard-based things back and do nothing else with a small cost of 1,000 life points. But what's really interesting about it is the fact that it can interact with copies of itself. So if there's a banished one for whatever reason, you can then add it back. Or if your opponent banishes your Sanctuary in the Sky, you can add it back. Different ways to get some of your utility pieces. Additionally, the fact that it can add back something like Hyperion or Agent of Mystery Earth so that you can use it again after you've banished it just means it's overall a really, really useful card that you would probably play 3 of in the deck. I think its interaction with copies of itself, while that wouldn't come up a ton, pay 1,000, get a fairy, and then add a banished copy of this back to the hand if you have one for whatever reason, is not a bad bonus to have, although I don't know how often that would come up. It seems like they learned their lesson from cards like Chaos Seed, which is just an endless loop of being able to add itself back. So I like this card a lot. Really cool artwork. Next up, Lost Sanctuary. This is the other new one, and actually the name of the original structure deck, which is kind of funny. When this card is activated, set one Sanctuary in the Sky or one Spell or Trap that specifically lists that card in its text directly from your deck. This card's name becomes the Sanctuary in the Sky while on the field or in the graveyard. So there you go. That takes care of having it on field or in grave, which basically means you don't need to play the field spell at all. You can banish one fairy monster from your graveyard, then target one effect monster your opponent controls. Negate its effects until the end of this turn, even if this card leaves the field. You can only use this effect of Lost Sanctuary once per turn. You can only activate one Lost Sanctuary per turn. So, this basically gets you any of your cards that you want from the deck that help further your combo pieces in terms of spells and traps. In addition to that, it takes the name of Sanctuary in the Sky, which basically nullifies the need to have to play any field spells, and it's an effect negation that allows you to shut down opponent's cards. So this is overall a really, really strong card, and probably the best singular piece of support that agents are getting. But because of that fact that it has the added name on top of it, of being a good card already, this may be what takes it to that next level. It may sort of help it to ascend, if you will. So really, really impressed by Lost Sanctuary. Executor of Hades, Pluto, I think we had this one revealed early as well. Level 5 Synchro, 1 tuner, 1 or more non-tuners. Once per turn, you can banish a monster from your graveyard, target an effect monster on the field, change it to face-down defense position. If Sanctuary in the Sky is on the field or in the graveyard, this is a quick effect, so it's a Book of Moon during either player's turn for a very minimal cost. You can banish this card from your graveyard, add 1 Sanctuary in the Sky from your deck or graveyard to your hand. This is a really, really solid card that is very easy to make. You can basically do it, I think, with Earth and Venus or any combination of those, and I'm sure there's probably better ways to do it. I just kind of threw out the first thing that came to my head there. But it's a Dark Fairy, it's got the ability to recover resources, and it's also a massive disruptor for the opponent that you can utilize as a quick effect. So this is good for sure. And the last one, Sacred Water of the Sky, is a normal spell. Activate 1 Sanctuary in the Sky directly from your deck, or add 1 monster that specifically lists that card in its text from your deck to your hand. Then, if Sanctuary in the Sky is on the field, you gain 500 life points for each Hyperion and Agent monster you control. Basically, it's a Rhoda that allows you to search any of your Agent monsters that specifically reference Sanctuary, but it can also search, like, Meltiel, Sage of the Sky, and other random fairies that have Sanctuary in the Sky in the text too, so I guess maybe there's some combo potential there. If your monster that specifically lists Sanctuary in the Sky in its text will be destroyed by battle, you can banish this card from your graveyard instead. I don't think that's going to come up a ton, however, this does allow it to be banished so that you can add it back to hand with Chorus of the Sky, so it's definitely some cute interaction between cards in the deck. Overall, I think this archetype may get really strong with these new cards, and I'm interested to see what type of impact it has, especially on the OCG side of things, as we'll have to be waiting a little while to get them here. But let me know what you guys think down below. I think Lost Sanctuary is by far the best piece of support, but all of it looks pretty good, and I'm excited to see the impact it might have. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.